This short tutorial will show you how to record SNMP data from a real device and use it for simulation. The recorded data is saved in an SNMP variable file or var file, and the simulated devices use this information when responding to SNMP requests. To create this variable file, we can go to Variable, Learn from Device. Since we are going to learn from a Cisco hub with an IP address of 192.168.100.99, in the dialog box that appears, we will specify the name of the variable file to be created as myhub.var. We are also going to simply use mib2.cmf that came with the installation as the compiled mib file. We do not need to have all the MIBs supported by the device to be compiled before learning if we only want to do SNMP gets, as variables for which we do not have MIB information are also learned, recorded, and supported by the simulated device, but are treated as read-only variables. If you want to support SNMP sets, then it is useful to compile at least the MIBs containing the settable variables. A separate tutorial is available to show you how to compile MIBs in SimpleAgentPro. You can specify the IP address of the real device that you want to learn from, the SNMP version, the community string used to talk with the real device, and I'm also going to specify the learnerror.rule as optional rules file, since it has the %map IP address equal to yes rule in it. Now let's click on Start to start the learning. The learner application starts doing a series of SNMP GetNext requests to do an SNMP walk on the device, and it records both the variables supported by the real device and their current value. Information returned is saved in the var file created. Let's stop the walk and take a look at the var file created. First thing to note is that the var file created is a simple ASCII file, and you can edit it using a text editor. For instance, if you wanted to change the syscontact to John Doe, you can simply edit this file and change the value to John Doe, and when you do an SNMP get on syscontact, you should now get John Doe. As you can see, it has not just saved the value, but rather the value has been mapped to a value type based on the data type of the variable. Variable with time ticks use a clock value type, where variables of type counter use a random up value type. This provides built-in dynamism for the values returned. Another thing to note is that because of the IP mapping flag in the rules file, the IP address of the real device that we learned from has been mapped to a token $my IP address $, in the var file. This allows the token value to be substituted by the IP address of the simulated device, resulting in a more consistent simulation. Now that the variable file is created, let's create a simulated device that uses it. We can create a new map called test. Maps are simply a container of devices, and then we are going to add a device to it. Let's specify the IP address of 10.1.1, and in the SNMP tab, we are going to specify mib2.cmf as the compiled mib file, and this myhub.var as the new var file that we just learned. We can then click on Start to start the simulation, and then use a MIB browser to look at the data that is returned from this device. If I go to the Systems group, You can see that the sys description is the Cisco 1538M. The sys contact is now showing up as John Doe, the value that we changed. And if you look at sys uptime, it says it is up for 255 hours and 15 minutes and 49 seconds. If I do a refresh, it's been up for 16 minutes and 9 seconds. If I do a refresh again, it is showing that it has been up for 16 minutes and 14 seconds. So as you can see, sys uptime values are getting updated along with the passage of time. If I go to the IP address table and do a get on this table, as you can see, the value returned matches the IP address of the simulated device. And it's not 192.168.100.99, which would have been the value of the real device that we recorded this information from. Once you are happy with the simulation, you can select the device and say clone. And let's say, for instance, I want to create 99 more. I can now suddenly start a simulation of 100 devices that are all the same as the one that I just learned from. As you have seen in this tutorial, you can record the variables and values supported by a real device by doing an SNMP walk and then quickly create a simulation made up of hundreds of these devices. A separate tutorial on using command line SNMP walk utilities is also available. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact us at support@simplesoft.com and we would be happy to assist you. Thank you.